people for their character and who they are, not just what they do. And Michael K. Williams was a man of character. Truthfully, a man who had like given his life to God, a man who would encourage me when it was hard. I thought about doing a video on this for a while. When I say a while, when it first came out, it was too close to home to do a video. But now that it's been some time, I wanted to do a video. This is about Michael K. Williams. Yes, he is an amazing, famous actor who passed away in September of 2021. But what many people don't know is I have a very personal story with Michael K. Williams. I was a young girl. When I say young, I think I was 22, and I was going to New Orleans because my friend had gotten a job there. So I'm a young girl dreaming of being a TV reporter. I had graduated from the University of Illinois. I was working with the University of Illinois doing video editing and helping with course creations, like helping professors design their online courses at the time. And I was doing prison ministry. Like, that's what my life was. But my friend had gotten this job in New Orleans at the airport. Shout out to you, Eric. And I went to go visit, but it was a time where I was in transition. My dream was to be a TV reporter, so even though I was working in a really good position, I still wanted to be on TV. And so I was interviewing and sending my resume everywhere, and I was in a place where I felt stuck. Like, I had sent my resume to so many places, and so I was like, I'm gonna take a trip to visit my friend. And so I go to New Orleans, and my friend had work still on that Sunday at the airport, so he was like, take my truck, go to wherever you want. And I was like, I'm gonna go to church. I'm gonna find a random church in New Orleans. I Google like different churches in the area and end up driving 30 minutes out of the way to this church because it looked cool. And first off, the church experience was amazing. I met this amazing, beautiful, elderly Black woman who was like, what's your name? I've never seen you before. And she like pulled me in and was like, come sit with me and my friends. So I sat with her and her friends. They were such kind women. I'm in New Orleans, right? And then she's like, I can't wait for you to meet my son. So I meet her son. Her son's very kind. I was like, hey, I'm actually going to this and this afterward if you want to come. And I was like, well, no, I'm actually starving. I want to go eat breakfast. And then I was like, if you want to come meet me, that would be great. And he was like, sure. But so check this out. This is where the story gets really, really, really cool. I love how God takes over our lives and does really cool stuff to just let us know how loved we are. But so I go to, what was it called? The Ruby Slipper Cafe. So the Ruby Slipper Cafe has apparently multiple locations, but I don't know that. So I was like, yeah, let's meet at the Ruby Slipper Cafe. So I go to the cafe. I didn't even exchange numbers with this person, so I felt bad. But so I go to the cafe. There's a line, there's a wait. I'm by myself. I'm in New Orleans. And I'm 21, 22, and I'm in line. And the lady's like, table for one, table for two. And I was like, I think a table for two. Somebody said they were gonna meet me, but I don't know. So at this point, I had already been waiting like 30 minutes. It was an hour-long wait. And she's like, I went to the lady. I was like, ma'am, I actually don't know if they are gonna meet me. Can you just make it a table for one? And she's like, I have the perfect spot for you. Why don't you come and sit in like the bar area. So it's this breakfast place, but they have like a little bar area for breakfast. It's not like bar, like drinking, like just around. So there's a bar area for breakfast. And so I go and I sit next to these two gentlemen. And I'm sitting there and I order my food. I'm there alone. If you don't know me, I'm very friendly. And I'm traveling alone at this point. And so I'm like, hi guys, how are you? And they're like, good, how are you? And they're getting their food. I'm like, what did you order? And he told me what he ordered. And the gentleman told me what he ordered. I think it was a French toast. And I was like, it looks really good. So then the server comes and I was like, I'm supposed to be waiting for one more. Can I wait a little bit longer? And again, my guest still hadn't come, the guy I met from church. And so I'm sitting there, I'm still waiting, and I'm trying to create small talk.
And they're like, did you come alone? And I was like, so I met this guy at church. I'm traveling alone a bit. He said he was gonna sit with me, but he said he was gonna come meet me, but he's not here, so I don't know.
And then I was like, so what do you guys do? And then the guy that's next to the gentleman I'm sitting with is like, I'm a barber. And I was like, oh, awesome. And I was like, are you both from New Orleans? And they're like, no, we're not. And I think he said he was from New York, the barber. And then I was like, what do you do? And he was like, have you ever seen RoboCop? And I was like, no. At this point, I was serious. I was like, no. And he's like, have you ever seen The Wire? I was like, no. He was like, I was like, I don't have HBO. And I was like, honestly, I don't really watch TV. And I was like, I do news. I want to be a news reporter one day. And so I follow that stuff. And then he's like, and then the barber, they're talking and they're like, so you really don't know who this is? And I was like, no. And he's like, you really don't? And I was like, no, I don't. And the barber goes, this is Michael K. Williams. And I was like, nice to meet you. And they started laughing. They were like, we thought you were being funny, like you really like knew who we were. And I was like, no. And then I was like, should I Google RoboCop? And so they pull up stuff and I was like, oh, you're big time. And we sat and we were talking and then I kid you not, so we're talking, I'm like, oh my goodness, so how did you get into acting? That is so cool. And he goes, you see this gash on my forehead? I'm like, yeah. You guys, this is a real story. He's like, you see this gash on my forehead? I was like, yeah. He was like, just sharing with me how the Lord changed his life. This is the stuff that we don't talk about. He was literally sharing with me how he was like, I got into some wrong stuff, and he was just sharing like how God changed his life. And I remember just sitting there being in awe, like, what? And I was like, that's amazing. And this was a time, right, where I feel stuck. I'm trying to get into news, and I was just like, thank you so much for sharing that story. Like, my dream has been to be a TV reporter. Like, I went to school for this, and I feel stuck, I feel discouraged. It's so cool. Like, what are the odds that I'm literally sitting next to somebody who is in a place that I would like dream of one day? He said this. He said, if you want to be a TV reporter, then you go be a TV reporter. And he was just sharing how I could do whatever I wanted, and that I seemed like I have a good personality and I could talk to anybody. And he was just like, go get it, almost like just so encouraging. And that means a lot to somebody when they're really young and kind of stuck. It meant a lot to me. And we just had a very humble, like it was a very, he was so kind. So I want to talk about Michael K. Williams because when I saw the post of him passing, I actually like teared up and like, and I didn't realize like why it made me so emotionally impacted, but it's because I was this like, so that was what, 8 years ago. But that experience was so impactful to me because he was so kind. He shared with me how God like had changed his life. He was encouraging to me when I felt really stuck and low. I was traveling alone. I felt stood up. But I'll get back to the story because it gets good. And they were nice. Him and his barber were super kind. I'm so sorry that I forgot your name. I was looking for you on Instagram because when Michael K. Williams passed, you posted something and I commented. I was looking through my Instagram and I couldn't find it. But both you, amazing barber, and I know that you're more than that. You're a good person. And Michael K. Williams, you both were so nice to me. And you both were super encouraging to me. And I was just like a normal civilian. I wasn't this celebrity. I was just a girl with a dream. And I really appreciate the kindness. And so when Michael K. Williams passed, I was very sad. So to get back to the moment in New Orleans, you know, we're talking and all of a sudden the guy from church walks in. And he's like, there you are, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, hey, and I stand up, I shake his hand or give him a hug, I don't remember. And then he looks at these guys and he's like, what's up, guys? And they like talk and shake hands. I'm like, how do you know each other? And they're like, how do you know? And his name is Daniel. How do you know Daniel? And I was like, I just met him at church. And they were like, he's an amazing photographer. You're over here just meeting with big people. And I was like, I didn't even know. I really didn't know. I met him at church. And truthfully, I met his mom. His mama made me meet him, you know? So anyway, we continue breakfast, like the four of us at this bar area. And then Daniel and I became I want to say friends. We did become friends for a little bit, but, and yeah, it was so good. It was so cool because he was like, we know him. He took photos of us, and turns out Daniel is like an amazing photographer. He still is an amazing, well-known, recognized photographer. Daniel Gray, hi. So when Michael K. Williams had passed, when Mr. Williams had passed, I actually texted Daniel, and he was like, oh, when I found out the news, I thought about texting you too. And but I decided to make this video because today the news got released that 4 people are arrested for Michael K. Williams' death. But I want to talk about a bigger issue that literally grieves my soul. And it's when people that have such large impact leave this earth too early. It deeply grieves my soul. And when they leave, whether it's drugs, violence, suicide, that's when people leave this earth without, and maybe he did fulfill his purpose, but it grieves me. It grieves me. It makes me angry. It makes me angry at anyone who is deceived or participates in things that can allow that to happen. It makes me angry at the enemy. Like, I just get mad at things that kill, steal, and destroy. It makes me very angry. And so then the question is, right, what do we do with the things that bother us or anger us? I try to impact or serve in those areas. So right now we have Brave Space. The goal is to do very vulnerable, intimate events to help people get emotionally, spiritually, and relationally freer. Because the truth is, when we turn to drugs, or we turn to self-harm, or to suicide, ideation and suicide, those other things are side effects of really deeper things happening in the heart. So who's close? Who can people talk to? How are we creating vulnerable, brave spaces for people to share and get healthy? And so I'm working on this nonprofit right now. But I wanted to share the story. So if you want to be a part, you can go to Brave Space, or became_brave on Instagram, became_brave, and you'll have access to some of the events that we have going on there. But that wasn't the goal of this video. I wanted to share this video because I wanted to share my story or an experience with Michael K. Williams that was so good, that was so impactful, that he was so kind. And I'm very saddened, you know, that his death was by an overdose. But I don't want that to be the remembrance of him. I want the remembrance of him to be that he was so kind, like genuinely as a person. We should value people for their character and who they are, not just what they do. And Michael K. Williams was a man of character. Truthfully, a man who had like given his life to God, a man who had encouraged me when it was hard. And he even built the organization WeBuildTheBlock.org. And the goal was to create public safety solutions in New York. So feel free to check out WeBuildTheBlock.org, and remember to check in on your loved ones. And whether you make it super big or you're in a small place, make sure you're humble enough to serve and love on people. Okay, that's it. Toodles.